always knew. I mean, even when I was sort of 4 and 5 years old, I wanted to be in business.
Always the CEO.
Always the CEO.
Deborah is the queen of the den.
Do the dragons actually have enough time to engage in the companies that they invest in?
Guys, I know what you're doing, so you can cut it out now. I'm not going to play the game.
What was it like behind the scenes at Dragon's Den?
I will never forget some of the advisors' faces because they were like... I had an ex-boyfriend who moved over to Italy, and I thought I'd follow him, whether he liked it or not. That's probably not a good lesson to people.
And was it a success?
That's actually quite rude. I'm your guest here.
I would say you missed out on this one.
And why do I care?
3 words to describe Deborah. Absolutely blooming brilliant.
What was day one on the den like?
When I was sitting between Peter and Theo, I definitely felt like if I open the slightest opportunity, they will be in there. Well, here's the issue.
So Deborah, you've written a great new book called Deborah Talks Money. I think that's great because I do believe we've got a financial literacy problem, challenge in the UK. So what is the summary of the book and who needs to read it?
So first of all, I wrote it for exactly that reason. We are not taught financial literacy in school, which I find absolutely staggering. You can do nothing without understanding money. And you can start your life with a really bad relationship with it or a really good relationship with it. That's why I wrote the book. But I also understood that actually a lot of the topics are pretty dry. So it's a very short, sharp burst of information that gives you enough to know what you need to know.
Yeah.
So it isn't a deep, it talks about mortgages, but not in-depth mortgages. It just says, this is what it is. This is the stuff you need to know. And it gives you enough information to ask. It's a weird age span, or it sounds like a weird age span. It's sort of 11 to 16 and a lot of grandparents and parents. But what I want it to be is a book that stays on a bookshelf, that they think, oh, yeah, I read about mortgages, or I read about interest rates, or I read about... whatever, and then they can go and take it off the shelf and think, oh yeah, that's what I need to know. So that's my plan for the book.
Yeah, I actually just finished reading it because I obviously knew we were talking today, and I think that just introducing those concepts to children at an early age will have such an unbelievable compound effect on their life. Because I remember when I first started my first business, I knew so little about money. I knew instinctively quite a lot about the product I was doing, but so little about money. So I think it's amazing that you've written it. And even, I'm 33, but I really enjoyed it. I feel like I took away from it as well, which is really cool.
That's brilliant.
So, so thanks for obviously writing it.
Yeah, and I think to that point as well, you mentioned, the context. Usually when you find financial information, you're sort of dropped right in the middle of some jargon without really understanding the context. So context of what is a mortgage, how does it relate to another concept?
And why do I care?
Yeah.
Do you know, one of the things that I really, really feel passionate about, the word budgets and business plan turns people right off. But the power of using it doesn't have to be an Excel spreadsheet, but the understanding of that balance sheet that goes on in your head all of the time, the power of budget that budgeting gives you over not just your money, but your life, and I constantly saying to people, I wish it wasn't called I wish there was another word for it, but it's incredibly powerful, whether you're running a household, whether you're renting a flat, whatever you're doing, the budgets are so powerful.
So we're a show for business people. We want to help people understand business more. So what do you think is the thing that kills businesses most in their first couple of years? What are the big mistakes that people are making?
Well, the one that I see most often is this over expectation. So things are going to happen faster.
Yeah.
And they're going to be twice as good as you think, and they're not. They always take twice as long and they're never as good as you think. And it's always going to be all right next month. Not keeping a handle on their numbers because they don't understand what's coming down the track. I don't love numbers. People think I love numbers. I don't love numbers. I love what numbers tell me. I love the power that numbers give me. I can see what's coming down. And it really worries me when I'm involved with businesses and they can't produce their management accounts because they're too busy to do it. And I think, oh, whoa. Yeah. Now I'm worried, because we don't know what's coming down the track. And concentrating on cash. So a lot of businesses, for instance, subscription businesses might be taking cash now that really isn't their cash until that subscription's been delivered in the future, and they use that cash. Now it's okay to use that cash if you have a plan. You really understand. What is that going to return me enough cash to be able to fulfill that subscription in the future? But I see too many people thinking I've got it in the bank. so I can spend it without any thought about actually in 6 months' time it's going to run out and I can't fulfill my orders.
And so I've watched you on Dragon's Den for quite a while now. I am a super fan of the show for as long as I can honestly remember. But I think I picked up on the show when you were already a dragon. So I would love to hear a little bit about how you got your start in business, because I think for everyone it will be a fascinating story.
So I always knew, I mean, even when I was sort of 4 and 5 years old, I wanted to be in business. It's weird. I never, ever played jobs. I always had a job or a car wash.
Always
weirdly.
the CEO.
Always the CEO. So I always knew it. It was absolutely, and I think it's a fierce, it's the independence. I want to make my own decisions, whether they're right and I can take, get the benefit of that, or whether they're wrong and I take responsibility for that. So I think I always knew I was going to do it. So when I first, I went to business college. I say I went to business college. I popped in every now and then. I had a fantastic time in Brighton. That's probably not a good lesson to people. Fantastic time anyway. Did business, and then I thought, now what am I going to do? Was completely stuck, just kind of, my life wasn't moving. I want a business. I don't know what that is. So I changed something. And I think that's something in life. Change the scenery. If you change the scenery, something new happens. So I had an ex-boyfriend who moved over to Italy, and I thought I'd follow him, whether he liked it or not.
Yeah.
And he was a fashion designer. I went over there and I spent it, and then I ran out of money. And I thought, right now, really, I'm going to have to concentrate. I really do need to do something here. So I managed to convince 4 Italian businesses with beautiful, I was 19 at the time, with beautiful homeware products that I could be their agent and bring them back into the UK. So that was kind of my first business.
Wow.
So, and all credit to them. They didn't know me from Adam. They kind of, I think they were mildly startled. Like, who does she think she is?
And was it a success?
No.
No.
So it was. So we had I got into Top Drawer, which I think is still going. So it's sort of the high-end gifts exhibition.
Wow.
And got into Harrods and Harvey Nichols and
At 19?
Fenix. Amazing. And then the next year it all dried up and they started to bypass me and sell direct into the stores. And I could have fought them for the rest of my, rest of my years, but that was a very early lesson. I think life's too short. I don't have the time. I don't have the cash. Then let's just learn and move on.
But amazing learning experience. I would often say to young entrepreneurs, like, I don't mind if you had a few years doing something that didn't pan out. I love hearing that story. The things that you would have learned, like how to manage, how to market, customers.
Oh, so true.
Being a middle person. I
do it all again. I make the same mistakes again because it all goes into your toolbox, doesn't it? All that stuff you learn, you think, I didn't like that.
What did you use those lessons for? What did you do next?
So the next thing, and that came out of Italy. So I'd seen Stefanel, fashion business in Italy, and was literally walking down Knightsbridge High Street and saw a Stefanel. I thought, oh, I wonder if they're coming into the UK, and I wonder if they're franchising. So I must have been 20, maybe 21. Went in. As it happened, their head office was downstairs, and I said, "Oh, is whoever's in charge of franchise? You can franchise?" And they went, "Oh yeah, I know. Whoever's in, can I meet them?" Yeah, he's here, and I met him. Amazing guy. He let me have a. He said, "Yeah, no, we're doing franchising."
Yeah.
And so I had a friend down in Taunton with a shop that was doing next to nothing, and I said to him, "How about we do a Stefanel franchise together?" And we did. One of the first Stefanel franchises in the UK. And again, all credit to Carlo Magello.
There we go.
He used to be head of Fiorucci and then he moved into Stefanel. So he was the CEO and he happened to be, and I was, it was just luck. I just walked into the shop. He was there and he said, yeah, no, we can talk.
It's amazing because that's a very much the Wayne Gretzky thing of you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's just like you, well, I'm going to just walk in there right now. I'm going to talk to that person. They're there or not.
Give it a go.
A lot of people in those situations, definitely myself included, have been like, no, it's probably not. Then just walk on. And those are important moments.
They're important moments. But I also think it's the, I didn't know what you weren't supposed to do. Do you know what I mean? I think we do filter, we kind of filter out and think, well, that's not normal behaviour. You wouldn't do that. But I think some of the best moments that have happened to me have been the ones where I've just thought, well, I'll just go for it. Just give it a go.
It's in the early part of your career, the naivety to not know,
That's it.
like
naivety.
similar to you, my first business was an agency business. I used to just walk into big offices, trick my way in and go in and say hello, and you'd win some of your biggest clients. And so I think a lot of the time when I look back, would I have started the business I'm running? It's like, it's hard work. And to get here has taken so much personal, toil and trouble. But the naivety, I think, is almost the brilliance. So I say to people, just start, even if you don't know the answer, because you'll find out. You'll work it out.
Totally agree.
So where does all this franchise, gumption, energy, where does that lead you?
You mean what happened next?
Yes, that's a better way of asking it.
So then I didn't suit the franchise model. It had way too many rules. And I felt like I was making a lot of money for the franchisee. And credit to them, they, Carlo put a lot of faith into me, but it wasn't working for me. So I sold out to my partner, and then I set up a prize bingo in Butlins in Minehead. I love your faces.
I've been there. I've been to that.
This is so funny.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, randomly.
Wow.
I've just watched you on telly for so long, and it's so fun to have the story. I love it. Yeah.
I am a jolly good bingo caller, if ever you need
that
one.
right?
Got something to fall back on?
Yeah, if the den doesn't work.
Yeah, bingo and Butlins was not what I was expecting. From you, but
bingo. To be honest, bingo was a fantastic lesson because you are directly. It was the prize bingo in Butlins. As you've been there, as you walk through to the amusement arcade, the amusements. So that was mine. Really successful, one of the busiest in the country, and made really, really good money. But boy, do you learn some lessons. Your customer is sat there and they are quite prepared to tell you if they're happy with you or not happy with you. Time is money, literally, because the faster you can turn the games over, if you've got 50 players, all paying £1 each, £50 a minute, you can do a game. But if you're not quiet, you've got to slow right down so that people see it and you build up a little bit of. So it absolutely, I cannot tell you the business lessons I learned from that bingo. It was brilliant.
Love it.
Do you think people should be doing, not esoteric, but, different kinds of businesses like that, just so that they, in their early 20s, for example, so they can learn different skills that will become so valuable later?
I think people should find their own way. I think
you don't think everyone should do bingo, Deborah?
I don't think. Well, yes, I do actually. Come to think of it, because it's a brilliant way. No, I think people need to find their own way. But I've never been scared of business, and I think it's why I suit Dragon's Den very well, because it's not what the business is doing within my ethical and values bounds. It's more about, can I understand this business? Do I understand why it would succeed, and what can I add to it? But it's not like, oh no, I wouldn't touch manufacturing, or I wouldn't, because I've never walked into anything that I've struggled with over a period of time. Obviously, when you first get involved, you need to learn some of the fundamentals. But generally, I've just been, well, why not?
So we go from bingo in the Butlins.
Oh gosh, then there was a. Gosh, when I lay it out in front of me.
I'm already glad I asked the question, because this is even funnier to her than bingo, so it's going to be good.
I'm excited.
To be honest, I can't remember most of it. But, but I had a stationery shop called Choice. That was a bit like, do you remember when Paper Chase first came out? So, it was one of sort of all the really cool, trendy stationery shops. I had a stationery shop in Taunton.
I love it.
And then I went into the family business, which was amusement arcades in Butlins, and their holiday park operations, and I literally started. No, there I went in as operations director. My parents, who had already had successful businesses, got to the age where they were saying, "Look, we're either going to bring in professional managers, or is it something you're interested in doing?" So it's kind of make my mind up time. And I think as a younger person, I'm glad I didn't go straight into that business, because they stole me as a little girl who never tidied up her room.
Yeah.
And used to bring back £50 ponies, that type of thing. And then I decided, actually, I am interested in this business. So I went back and went into the amusement arcade business, recommended we sold out of that, and which we did, and then moved into the holiday park business.
Amazing.
And
I might have missed some stuff along the way, but at the moment,
the holiday
that's it.
park business is where you had first
The real
big
success.
financial success.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the holiday park business was where I got myself hocked up to the eyeballs doing a management buyout with my parents. And that's the moment I woke up one morning thinking, oh my God.
Yeah. But I think I like the lesson here that for so many entrepreneurs, you don't have to find the perfect thing on day one. You know, you're going to work into it through loads of different experiences. And like, you know, you and I have had so many different businesses we've been involved in to find where we are now. So I think it's so nice to see that, because I think from the outside, you do look so impressive, but you don't hear that stuff a lot of the time. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, and also, well, you learn an awful lot from it. And I think the breadth of experience can only ever help, can't it? You know, it's when we were talking about before about gut feeling. It's not gut instinct, is it? It's all of that stuff I've seen before, and I thought, I've seen you. I know where this goes.
I know this.
Pattern recognition and experience, right?
Yeah.
But you know, the other thing here is, it's quite rare, isn't it, to do a management buyout with your parents? That sounds quite tense.
Yeah, so it was. Now the good news is it obviously all worked out because we're best buddies. So that we spent a lot of time together. At the time, it was tense because I was bidding for a business.
Yeah.
You know, other people were interested in buying the business. So I ended up having to pay more money than. I had to pay the highest price, you know, and I don't blame. At the time, it was like, come on, I'm your daughter, you know. But I don't blame them. They were absolutely,
good business lesson.
you know, they were exiting the business. You know, they had advisors advising them, and I had advisors advising me. You know, and mainly, you know, it got a bit. I will never forget some of the advisors' faces because they were like. Are you family?
Yeah.
But generally, I think we always had this. You look after the business. The business looks after the family. So treat this as a business.
There's a fantastic clip of you where you're talking to two people in the den, and they're a family business, and you say something like, you know, you can see, because they said, we don't argue.
We've got it.
Do we have it?
We've got it, don't we?
Did I watch that today?
Didn't they disagree?
So they say they didn't disagree very often, and you go,
said,
that's actually not a good thing.
That's not good.
And
Absolutely.
it's funny, because I remember watching that being like, I have been in business with my younger brother for 4 years now on this new business, and like, we are best friends. We have been since we were kids, but like, my God, when you go loggerheads at each other, it's like more than a business partnership. You know, you could go further, but then you can get back quicker, I think.
Yeah, I agree. As long as you remember, this is not personal. This is not about our sisterly, brotherly, parent, you know, this is about the business.
Over the last decade, Chris and I have started over a dozen businesses. It's not something we're particularly proud of, by the way, but it means we've had a lot of exposure to different business banks. You try one, you're not so happy, try another, you're not so happy. The cycle goes on. By this point, between us, we were laughing, but we tried them all. There was one we actually hadn't, and it's because they're newer, and we weren't really familiar with the fact that they had this option. So we wanted to try that based on our own knowledge and compare it. And I tell you what, it is head and shoulders above. And we are thrilled to be using and partnering with Wise Business.
Basically, Wise Business is the only account you need to get paid, pay employees and suppliers, and manage your business's money in multiple currencies.
Exactly. With Wise, you can do business across the world, pay, get paid, and manage your business's international money with ease.
And look, here's the thing. You actually save money as you grow. No hidden fees, no sneaky markups on exchange rates, and no ongoing subscription costs. It's like finding money in your pocket that you didn't know was there.
But my favorite part, and this is crucial, it's just so damn easy to use. I know, because I'm the one who set it up for this company.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, lazy. I was never going to get you to do it. But anyway, you can make payments in as little as a few seconds, and it integrates with all your business software.
You can easily withdraw funds from Amazon, Stripe, and more in multiple currencies. And it connects to accounting softwares like Xero and QuickBooks. But damn, what about security?
Well, as you know, every time you try and log in and take money out of the account without checking with us first, the security is amazing. They've got 2-factor authentication, a 24/7 customer support team, and a fraud team working around the clock to keep Chris off our money. I could go on about all of the amazing features, but seriously, when you're a small company or even just starting one, there's already so much going on that having a payment service that's quick, easy, and by the way, most importantly, reliable, is just an absolute necessity. And for that reason, we use Wise. If you want to get on board, it's simple. Just head to wise.com/business to learn more about how Wise could work for your business.
Allow me to let you enjoy this clip, and let's see you react to this if we may.
I remember them.
Do you remember all of them like that?
Oh, sorry,
or?
the volume would be down.
Yeah, but also, hold on. I don't know.
I'm going to start with that then. Really, a business is worth what people are prepared to pay for it and what the vendors prepared
That's
to
the wrong
accept.
That's a different one.
That's the reality of the situation that I'm sure.
This is the man who was explaining to me how businesses are valued.
He talks about Facebook.
Sorry.
And you're like, are you joking?
I was told video 2, not video 2. I will go back and get the right one because it is worth it.
Yes, I do remember them.
Yeah.
I do remember.
I
them.
love that. It must be the best
I
job in
do.
the world.
It is a great job.
Yeah. So I wasn't actually planning on that. How did Dragon's Den come to you? Like, how did you?
So I don't know, obviously, because the BBC wouldn't say. I would suspect, I don't know if you remember, my predecessor went bust while she was in Dragon's Den.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So I think they would never say they were looking for a woman, but I hope they were because it was the only chair that a woman was occupying. I had just sold West Star, so I had money.
Yeah.
There wasn't the risk of.
So you could actually be investing.
Actually had
Yeah.
money. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't my value tied up in a business. I had cash. So I suspect they had a bit of safety in that. But I didn't know. They didn't get hold of me until about 6 weeks before they're starting filming.
Wow.
And they didn't take me on until about 10 days.
And-
until I finally said, I'm quite busy.
Yeah.
You know, I can't
I've got
hold my
businesses to
diary.
build.
Absolutely, I
Fascinating,
can't
isn't
hold
it?
my
The
diary.
ego levels, right? Because you're like, I'm actually a very busy person. They're like, with the fucking BBC.
Yeah, well,
We
it
don't
wasn't-
care how
it
busy
wasn't
you
a
are.
bit
You're
like
like,
that,
no,
but
I am
yeah,
busy.
but I
No,
think
we're the
in my mind
BBC.
I am busy, and I genuinely
Yeah,
have
but it's
stuff
funny
to
how
do.
things fall into like alignment, isn't it? You're like, yeah, I suppose the BBC is slightly more important than me. Bloody, I hate that, but it's probably true.
You're a bit of a precursor to what I think is going on right now in business, and I think Steve Bartlett's been a big part of this, which is you are so well known and associated with business long before business people tried to be well known because it was useful for their business, and that must have had such a huge impact on your life and your business.
Yeah.
But I think it's so cool they got you so early, because you can think how many female entrepreneurs over the years have watched you on the show and have become entrepreneurs because of you.
I hope so.
Coolest
I
thing ever.
really, really hope so. That would be a lovely thing to think, you know. And actually, my best moments are when people will come up to me and say, "I've got my own business and I started it because of you," and I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Could not have said anything better.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
me,
That's
you know,
legacy.
that's just brilliant. As long as it was a success.
Yeah, but even if it was even if it was a failure,
It doesn't matter.
it's fine.
My, my first business was a failure. So.
Yeah.
What was day one on the Den like for you?
So I was very lucky. I joined Dragons with Richard Farley, Theo, Peter, Duncan, Richard Farley, and myself. I was really conscious of the fact that I mustn't blink, you know, because we had some established dragons there, and I was sitting between Peter and Theo, who I love dearly.
Yeah.
But I definitely felt like if I open the slightest opportunity, you know, they will be in there. So I absolutely straight down the line there wasn't going to get involved in any of the banter, and they were very funny actually, because they would talk across me about their supposed exploits, and they weren't any exploits at all, but supposed just to see my reaction. And I knew it. I sat there thinking, I know what you're doing, guys. You know, and eventually I just say to them, guys, I know what you're doing, so you can cut it out now, you know. So it was
So they're trying to get a rise out of you, and you're like, I'm not going to play.
I'm not going to play the game. No,
Yeah,
I'm not
very
gonna-
good.
Well, you get on very well.
Seem cooler that way, you know. What is the biggest mistake that you see entrepreneurs make in the Den?
I tell you what I do think is a big mistake is they often come in with an absolute favourite dragon.
Such a mistake.
It is a mistake because they actually don't know. What they seem to forget is they're also finding out about dragons.
Yeah.
You know, you go in with this preconceived idea, but in the Den, I'd be more interested in the questions they were asking me. If I was standing as a pitcher, I think, you know, I want to know which one of you is asking the right questions, you know, because
Totally.
you're the one that I want to be investing in me. So I think they forget that. You know, and also you can see the body language and you think, oh, guys.
So daft. Because
don't do it.
tactically, you should want to get all the dragons to the end, because then you compete against each other.
Totally.
And so the second they go in, I've seen so many of these clips where the second they go in, they go, I want Peter or I want Deborah. And you're like, you've just lost all your bargaining power. Like, get them to go against each other. And it's just, you know, you see it time and time again. But
That's why you're a successful entrepreneur. You get that.
well, yeah, I mean, I think that you learn that over time is that if you ever do raise money, you know that the FOMO and the competitive tension and what are the others doing and why do they like it, it becomes such an important and powerful thing in your raising arsenal. You know?
100%. Negotiations about leverage, and you lose a lot when you say, I want that one person.
Yeah.
You lose all your leverage to that one person, for starters.
Yeah.
Does seem strange.
and alienated everybody else. So that's not a good thing to do.
Yeah.
In terms of all the investments that we see, how many actually get funded? Like, do you know the number or?
No, I don't. I only know my number. And my numbers range from 7 out of 8.
Right.
I don't think I've ever had a season where every single one has happened, because you can imagine. I don't even think they're meaning to, but in the heat of the moment, I think sometimes there's an exaggeration.
Totally.
So you get into due diligence and find out that the patent is in fact a patent application. And if it's little things, that's fine. But if you've got a fundamental thing, then it changes. And also, I've got to believe I trust them. Now, sometimes I'll get out and I'll think, yeah, I have seen this behaviour before. This is not happening. So I would say the best one is 7 out of 8. I've had one that's 3 out of 7, and that's really bad. This year, I think, is going to be a good one. So we've already filmed the next series, and already most of them are through. So hopefully this year's a good one.
What's the investment process like off camera after?
Well, it's due diligence in the way you would.
But is it you personally meeting them eye to eye, face to face? Is it sending docs?
No, so I have a team who do the due diligence for me. If we're paired up as dragons, then one of them will decide. I'll say I'll take the lead or you take the lead, so that there isn't the duplication of information flow. So one of us will take the lead, and then our team will just get on with it. I used to engage immediately, but I then realised that there have been moments where I've spent quite a bit of time with the business and they have pulled out, so they've taken contacts and I've made introductions and they pulled out. So I'm really upfront with people. I say, I'm sorry, but until the deal is over the line, you really won't see anything of me, and then you will see a lot of me.
I think it's totally fair.
How long does it take? So from them filming, you saying yes or whatever, and DD, what's the usual period in weeks
the
or months?
quickest I can get some away in 5-6 weeks.
Right.
If it's a question of, sometimes they'll have a full set of documents which are pretty, which we're happy with. We'll just sign side letters if there's anything different that we need to add. So those can be pretty straightforward, but some of them can get quite complicated. Lots of shareholders, documents that are not suited to our particular cause, because as a dragon, you do have a lot of other responsibilities and confidentiality clauses that you need to go in
and existing investors, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So it just depends on the complexity of the deal. But if it drags on too, so if the responses are too slow and it drags on too long, I start getting suspicious, because I think you're on your best behaviour right now. This is the moment you want this investment to happen, and if you don't, or if you're dragging your feet, I don't believe you.
But it's so true, and I think that if you get a good investor, and I think that when you think about the dragons are kind of hyper good investors because of connectivity. It's not money, really, at the end of the day.
It's not money.
And the last few years, especially, money's been so easy to raise. You're looking for hyper connections, and so you should be on your best behaviour, because one phone call from one of you can open a retail path. And so the whole business changes overnight. Or, I'm sure Stephen's value add might be, I know a few people who have massive audiences that I can connect with tomorrow, and then suddenly you're off. I think people underestimate the value add of dragons versus other investors.
Counterpoint, may I ask?
Be careful.
I am concerned about asking this question, but it's my authentic belief, because I've also done a lot of angel investing. I've 86 companies that I've invested in, so I've spent a lot of time really actively doing it.
Fantastic.
But much less since I've been running Heights, but certainly for a period. The criticism I would have on the process with Dragon's Den sometimes is the amounts sometimes that you guys are negotiating in percentages and ownership of that other person's business, to me, would be a disincentive or a distractor for them to want to realize as much value as possible, because they're giving so much away for such little cash. So then my, critical hat on it says, so the logical reason is to do everything that Chris just said, open up those doors, make those partnerships. It's not the money, it's the partnership. But when any human being is spread too thin, my investments, I'm like, I will make an intro for you over email, but I cannot do more than that, and I haven't ever promised to. So I'm very clear, right? And so that's a very different thing. And so I'm not valuation sensitive or anything. I'm like, you go do your thing. However, in your situation, I'm always skeptical how much a human being has in terms of time that they can actually offer.
You know what's funny about being an entrepreneur? Everyone thinks that we're these super productive machines, crushing it 24/7. But let me tell you a secret. Half the time, I'm just trying to figure out where I saved that one important file from 3 weeks ago.
Really? But you're so organized.
Yeah, well, I'm about to be, because I've been testing the HP OmniBook Ultra Flip, and oh my God, this thing is like having a personal assistant that actually knows what they're doing.
All right.
You know those days when you've got back-to-back calls? Well, you're about to make some great first impressions, because the Poly Camera Pro is insane. It tracks your face, fixes the lighting, and makes you look like you've had a professional film crew, even when you're working from your kitchen.
Yeah, it's tough to focus when you're out of focus.
I might legitimately look better in the Poly Camera Pro than I do in person. I shouldn't even bother having in-person meetings anymore. Anyway, here's where it gets really interesting. You know we're always talking about working smarter and not harder.
Yeah, that's very much your thing. I haven't quite mastered it like you just yet.
I've told you, delegate. Let the HP AI companion focus on the research so you can focus on what really matters. It can analyze documents, summarize reports, and even help you draft content. It can even summarize 10,000 words in seconds.
Wow, that's actually really amazing.
I know. Here's what I love most about the AI companion. It just helps you get to the point.
Yeah, I'm a vision person, so let's keep things at the top so we can make a decision and move forward.
Exactly. The AI companion can analyze an entire research paper in seconds, pull out the main insights, and even suggest action items. Work smarter with the right tools. Work doesn't have to feel like work. Look, I've built and sold companies worth millions, and I can tell you, the HP OmniBook Ultra Flip isn't just another laptop. It's like having an entire support team built into your computer. And here's the thing. Whether you're just starting out or scaling up, this is the kind of tech that actually makes the difference. It's not just fancy features. It's about giving you back time to focus on what matters, building your business. This isn't just an upgrade. It's an absolute game changer. And trust me, once you try it, you'll wonder how you ever managed without it.
For 10% off, use our code HP Love Work. That's HP LOVEWORK. Valid until 31st of January. T's and C's apply. UK only.
What you have to think about is that dragons are uniquely placed in terms of connections because it doesn't take us a lot of time. That's the point. You know, if
It's a senior intro.
Absolutely. And if it starts, you know, if one phone call from the top, and I'm not saying it always happens, you know, we get this all of the time, you know, I want you to get me into Sainsbury's, but you've got to be ready to get into Sainsbury's.
And good enough.
You know, you've got to, you know, and good enough, you know, so all of that's got to happen first, you know, but when we're ready, I'll make the call. Now, it won't be that the CEO is going to make the decision, but the power of the CEO just saying, oh, how are we getting on with, you know, it just, it ups it.
Moves
So I
it
don't
along.
think, for me, it isn't about, that bit isn't the bit that takes the time. The bit that takes the time for me is working out what the organisation actually needs, not what they think they need. You know, so you get involved in an organisation, they think, oh yeah, we've got all that sorted. And I'm like, exactly what I've just said. You can't go to Sainsbury's, right? You can't go to Waitrose now. They're going to, you know, they're going to laugh you out of, you're going to get one shot and they're going to laugh you out of the store. So how about we get ourselves ready first? And that's the bit that takes a little bit more time. But that's what I spend my time doing.
Yeah.
But because you're a professional investor, like, it is different. Like Deborah will have like a team behind her of
100%.
people to execute on things. I'm sure there is like a team lead and there's, you know, they have a system. And I think as the show has developed, I actually think the valuations have got better for entrepreneurs.
I agree with you.
I think the beginning was quite rough, but then the businesses probably were less scalable at the start. If I think about it more,
You're absolutely. Would have been my. If you'd asked me the question, that would have been my answer. I think the businesses have changed. You know, we have got some grown-up businesses. You know, with often already outside investors, so they've already been through the investing process.
Yeah, and have a valuation already.
Yeah, and they also don't need the time and attention that you get this weird thing where baby businesses that are probably not going to make you an awful lot of money need all of your time and attention, and then your mature businesses where you think, oh, this is cracking. You know, this is one I really want to be part of. All I need to do is make a couple of intros and that's it.
it's almost like the show evolved, really. You know, the scope and scale of the show evolved.
Yeah.
So thinking back through the Dragon's Den career, what is the deal that got away from you? What's the deal you missed out on?
Oh, I can't remember that.
No, no. There's
Doesn't want to remember
I
that.
couldn't be less interested.
As in, there's not one.
Really, you don't care?
I genuinely. Do you know what I think in life?
I think that's lovely if that's the
I
case.
think in life, there's always more opportunities for me, and there is absolutely no point in me sitting here worrying about what's got away. And it is absolutely true. How many opportunities I get 20 emails a day. Most of them crazy. Most of them I've got an idea as opposed to I've got a product. But there's always something amazing comes up that
That's
I'm
very
just
fair.
delighted I got.
Can a hustler get through to you? Like, could someone out there get through to you on an
Really?
email? No, not really.
Really?
Yeah.
Not many people have got through my defences.
Yeah.
No, it's not. The thing is, people need to recognise that if you get engulfed with applications or information, you just become completely ineffective. Nobody gets your attention.
Yes.
So actually, making it quite difficult is a good
Totally.
thing to do.
I would say you missed out on this one. Now, the reason I would say that is because I'm a customer. I think
it's
they're
'cause we had him
incredible.
on the show last
and we
week.
had him on the show last week. So he left a message for you that he does believe that you missed out on him.
Any ideas?
Yeah, who do you think it might be? Big company.
Levi
Great.
Roots.
No. Better.
How are you funding that?
So to date,
Do you remember Timo?
Timo each invested £75,000 each individually, and we've also raised £130,000 from friends and family.
Is it all gone?
Blimey.
We have about £90,000 left over at the moment.
You're losing money at the moment.
Yes, we are.
How much are you losing?
And at the moment,
He became a customer after.
Really?
Yeah. It was awesome. He said it on the show, and then we checked everyone who kind of signed up. We saw his name pop up, became a customer, loved it.
£1,000 loss a month, I don't consider a small level.
no, okay, that's
To establish a supply chain.
That's fair dues, though.
It is fair dues. Show her the clip of you watching it.
Yeah, it's going to get really meta.
£25,000 is I don't
that's
makes
good
you
content.
describe that as a small.
no,
No,
you're
of
right.
course
That's
not.
That is
major.
a lot of money to be losing
Lots
a month when
of
you've only got
sleepless nights.
£90,000 in the bank. You've got. I still make a good point.
Yeah, I mean,
Love
it's
it.
amazing.
Defiant in defeat.
I think it's true though, right? Because Timo could have taken what happened on the show as advice and guidance and gone with it and learnt from it, and so that this may have never happened if they'd said yes. You have no idea.
You don't
and
know,
so,
absolutely. It's very true. It's
Totally.
very true.
Obviously, Gusto went on to become a unicorn, and they frequent my house every single week. It's
go
phenomenal.
on. Just keep going on
It's
about it.
phenomenal.
Go on. That's
Come
actually quite
on.
rude. I'm your guest here.
Do you? But have you used it?
No.
Oh, they got a vegan offering, so there you go. Anyway, she's right. She's
Yeah,
right. We'll move on.
right.
We'll move on. Ignore the James Watt
Do you
story.
know,
Get rid of that one.
and I genuinely mean this. If businesses go on to make a big success after we've all turned them down, what a great way to be wrong.
Amazing.
Yeah,
What's
awesome.
bad in that? I love it. What do I get? Well, Levi Roots, obviously, and what's the other one? Tangle Tees.
Yes.
Tangle Tees hairbrush. And I
Christ,
think,
yeah. I
are
mean, who
you
would
trying
have
to rub that
known?
in my face? Because I think that's
Yeah.
blinking brilliant.
Yeah,
I
who
also-
would have known? I mean, yeah. I don't think anyone looks at Tangle Tees though and goes, "Oh, I would have called that one." I mean, that has been incredible.
It's very easy, obviously, hindsight now, look
Yes.
back on those and be like, of course, the whole nature of how we ordered food changed. Like that. Well, you just couldn't have known that then.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what is it like behind the scenes at Dragon's Den? Like, what is it like on the day? What is it like for the people coming in? Like, tell us a bit about the experience behind the scenes.
So I don't know what it's like for the people coming in because we are kept completely separate. We know absolutely nothing about the entrepreneurs or their businesses, and they are literally kept in a separate place. I mean, I have seen when an entrepreneur's accidentally found themselves down I can literally see the researchers going, "Go, not through here." So I don't know. I suspect it's quite nerve-wracking for the entrepreneur, of course. For us, I get in about 7:30 for hair and makeup because we've got 2 makeup artists for all of us. So
And
Sarah
Stephen
and I
takes
get
up
in
for most of the
first.
time, obviously. Yeah. Get it.
So I turn up about 7:30. I sit in the makeup chair. We're usually on screen on camera around about 10 o'clock. So we do our pictures. Absolutely no idea what's coming through the doors. And then as we finish a pitch, we break out into a green room. We then all tell each other whether we think what they said was really good or ridiculous.
Yeah.
Obviously. Make some phone calls.
Is there usually
emails.
consensus around those 2 points?
No.
Right.
No.
I love that.
No.
Different,
No, we all, and also sometimes it's not just right or wrong. It's just that you might be in a field where you understand not just what that can do, but what you can do for that business, you know. And I might just think, well, actually, Tuca is brilliantly placed for that. I'm never going to invest in that, but Tuca's brilliantly placed for it, you know. So you know, but we always have those discussions, like, you must be mad. Or no, okay, that was a really good. I'm gutted. I really wanted that.
But I think it's like we were saying before. Like, if I was going on the show for a specific business, my thinking would be, obviously, which dragon do I want? But I cannot show that at any point the whole way through my show, because I want the other dragons that I don't want to put the FOMO into the dragons that I do want. And it's like, I just always think to myself, it's so funny, they come on, they go, you know, I want Steve for X, or I want Deborah for Y, and you go, no, you youngster, come on.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a bit like VC investing. You're always
Totally
advised,
the same,
you go for your least favorite VC that you don't want. You do all of those pitches first.
Yeah,
They will
and do
tell
it-
you
and do it
everything.
later.
And they'll tell you everything that's wrong with your
That's
business. By the
very
time you get to the investors you want, you really understand they're giving you hard questions. You practice that 3 or 4 times because you buggered it up 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, that is really, really good advice.
Yeah.
That is
So
good
people
advice.
should probably do that with you guys.
Yeah, they probably
more
should, but-
consciously.
But also, people do pigeonhole you into your expertise. And in fact, dragons kind of do that. They say, well, you know, Stephen's the marketing and Peter does the tech and whatever. If anybody thinks all of us haven't got all of our business successes without being across all of that, I don't have to be the expert. I just need to know who, you know, I need to know, you know, Matt from Puffs, he's fantastic on his marketing. I don't need to help him on that, you know, so you just need to know.
That's TV, isn't it?
that-
Yeah,
that
you
is
all get pigeonholed.
all pigeonholed. And I'm like, come on, guys, if you think I'm not across all of that.
Yeah, if you think I can't do marketing.
Really, yeah.
Steve's the only one that does marketing.
Yeah, you have to be mad, you know.
Yeah.
So obviously you're really, really focused on sustainability, conscious consumers. How much of that do you feel like focuses in on what you do on on screen on Dragon's Den and outside of Dragon's Den as well? Want to know what kills big deals faster than anything? Security compliance. Honestly, it's a headache, and I don't know anyone who likes doing it. But there is a solution. One that makes security compliance easy. Vanta. Think of Vanta as your compliance wizard. They automate everything for SOC 2 and ISO 27001, turning complex security requirements into a simple, streamlined process. Over 8,000 companies, from startups to giants, trust Vanta to handle their compliance. Use Vanta so you don't get slowed down by security paperwork and focus on what matters, growing your business. Visit vanta.com/secret leaders now and get $1,000 off your first year.
So I would like to think I'm the same person on screen and off screen. In fact, I'd be mortified if anybody told me I was a different person off screen as on screen.
I think you're identical.
Except, well, thank you.
Yeah,
oh, there you are.
honestly.
He's good.
No, honestly. I mean, we interview a lot of people, have had some amazing guests on recently, and you do sense a slight difference on and off camera. So I think it's important.
Good, because that, as I say, that's the only me I've got. But Dragon's Den distills, obviously, those moments, because there's no point all the chatter around. You know, it's all about, are we going to make that investment or not? Yeah, so I am exactly the same. So yesterday I was presenting awards for Compassion in World Farming to try and improve animal welfare and the reduce impact on planet. So I think it's really important. You know, also I urge people to find something they really, really care about, because you can get wrapped up in businesses and lose a sense of life. You know, you can be so busy and end up caring a lot about the things that you have to do on a daily basis, but not about the way the world should be and life and humanity and whatever. And I just see a lot of unhappy people who end up at the end of their business careers, having worked really hard, loads of money in the bank, not caring about anything. Yeah. You know, and I think it's really important. I really care. I really care about the environmental impact, the planetary impact, impact on humanity. Care about those things.
How important do you think purpose versus passion versus actually just follow your skills and interests is in terms of like advice for entrepreneurs?
Passion is a very thrown about word, isn't it? I think purpose builds passion. You know, if you or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the other way around, but that care piece that says, okay, when we start our journey, because if you don't understand from the very beginning why you're doing something, you're never going to find out as you go along, you know, because things get layered. It gets even more confusing as to why am I doing this in business. So kind of taking that moment at the beginning to think, what do I want this to be, and what impact do I want this to have? And that can be financial impact. You've got to make money. You're a business. You've got to be sustainable.
Nothing wrong with making money either.
But also, do I want it to make a difference? Can I use my customers? Can I help them with the messaging, or what else do I want this business to do? Because I do worry about businesses that solely say it's just about the money. And that's a very common theme amongst entrepreneurs. And I worry that at some stage they'll get to a point in their lives where they think, okay, now I've got loads of money.
Yeah.
Now what?
Do you think that school and education should be teaching us more about the cultivation of our purpose then as well? Because I know a load of entrepreneurs now that at our age are super successful, have so much money, and they do nothing but work, and they don't have any,
because they don't know what else to do.
Yeah, they almost don't
know
have
what else
habits.
to care about.
They don't have hobbies and habits. They just work all the time.
And we're pretty good at that. We're always complimenting each other for the fact that firstly, from learned experience, we were both very unhealthy, typical entrepreneurs. We're saying don't be like that now, but right now we're both very good. Yeah, we're both very good at making sure that we see our friends and we see our family, and that we have whole lives that are outside of the business too. And it is a really important lesson to go through.
It is, and it's hard, because there is a time when your business, it's like having a baby. You've got to feed it and nurture it all the time. And every time it cries, you've got to go to it, So it is hard, but I cannot tell you how the power of having other things to care about is really, really important. It makes you better at what you do, I think.
You almost need to be CEO of your life. Then you can be CEO of your business much better. That will fall into place much more naturally.
Great way of putting it.
The thing I suppose now I always think about with business that I actually think most entrepreneurs earlier are bad at is not identifying the things that they actually need to be working on versus the things that can be delegated. And after years and years of doing it, you go, okay, this thing here, this is super important. I just need the right person running that and reporting to me. And if you do that enough times, you actually do find that you do have quite a lot of time.
That's very true.
Even if you're running a big business, you suddenly have 5 or 6 really good, really smart, well-paid people who execute, and you're vision setting and delegating. But when you're younger, you just think you have to grind it.
Yeah.
And you don't.
Well, I think it's also a question of trust. I think when you're younger, you kind of think you know it all, and it's my way or the highway, and of course it isn't. I always say I am never the expert in the room. I am never the expert in the room. There's always somebody who knows something, who knows more than I do, and I hope there is, because otherwise I'm wasting my time, aren't I? It's so. I think learning that. I think when I was younger, I was like, oh no, I need to make sure everything's, and that's definitely something. That's a
great mindset to just hold for your life, right? That is a growth mindset epitomized that attitude.
Yeah.
So there's obviously, I think in culture, there's this belief that entrepreneurs are just rich. In reality, we know that most entrepreneurs are actually poor. Yeah. So what is the difference between the financial habits in the self-made millionaires, so I suppose also the successful ones, and your run-of-the-mill entrepreneurs? What are the differences between their financial habits? What are the things we need to instill in people to make sure we can create more millionaires, more wealth in this country, and hopefully more tax?
Well, here's the issue. I don't know if we want to create more millionaires. I think if that's where your chosen path ends up. I didn't start out wanting to be a millionaire. I love business. I like people. I like creativity. Business is a great place to enjoy all the things that I like. Never, ever thought I was going to be a millionaire. That is not a career.
No.
That's an output of the things that you do. So I say the other, which is, what do you want to do? What do you want from your life? Now, if it is, I love cars. I want a Ferrari, and I want whatever it is that I want, and that's going to need lots of cash, then that's probably going to design your life. But it might not be that. It might be, I want a good living. I want to be able to afford the life that I want. And that might be, I want a small holding that I want to live in. So I really, and it hasn't changed. It is all about cash. And entrepreneurs do talk about how wealthy they're going to be all of the time. Yeah. I just wish we spread our definition of wealth a little bit more, because I consider somebody who has achieved the thing that they set out to do, whether it was cash, whether it's they're living where they want to live, their children are having the life they want them to have, they're at the school they wanted them to be in, they're spending time where they want to spend it. That is a huge wealth.
Yeah.
And I know that's really unpopular, right? And that sounds really weird coming from a dragon.
I think I like the description of like intentionality towards your life. You know, I think that like at this stage of my life, I'm focused a lot on lifestyle design for my future. It isn't fully optimized towards money. Of course, I want to make money because I want it to fulfill the things I want in my life.
That's it.
But the life I want is over here. And so I've almost backtracked from it at this stage in my career. My whole book is actually about how you design, your life to create yourself time, because time, even if you're chilling, is amazing. And so, yeah, I like the intentionality of that. I don't think people should aim to just be rich for the sake of richness.
And of course, I suppose the other side of it is if you are doing that, you'll never get off the hedonic treadmill because you will always have less money than
there's
the
always
next
more,
person.
Because Elon will exist. And so there's always...
Is Elon a happy person?
No,
Who knows?
I don't think.
Well,
firstly, who knows? But is he fulfilling his purpose? Yes, absolutely. And typically, people who are fulfilling their purpose will be closer to happiness.
His definition of happiness might be derived from the purpose of his work and so forth.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he'll never be happy till he gets to Mars. But the fact that he's making such incredible strides in physics to get us there, that's got to make you pretty happy.
I do feel like the world does need him from a technological standpoint.
Well, definitely. There's an amazing part in his biography where he basically just outlines, and it's so true. He basically says, because he's talking about the space race and NASA and everything else, and he just says, people just think that because we've seen sci-fi films, the future will just happen. And you just rely on governments and the future will just happen. That has never been the case. The future has only ever happened because of innovators and entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That is the only way it's ever happened in the past. That's how we've eradicated diseases. It's how we've built better homes. It's how we've created more distribution of wealth. We've created a better society with flaws. All of it's come from innovators, engineers, and entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And so you have to take a mantle in society if you want to believe in a better future. You got to take responsibility. And so after PayPal was like, I'm going to put that on myself.
Yeah.
And
Wise
I think
words.
that's so spot on. You can't, we just watch
But we
films and
don't-
think,
but
I
we
guess that's a
don't-
foregone conclusion.
But we
no,
don't,
it's not.
we don't all need to be Elon.
No,
And
definitely
I think,
not.
I don't know.
Well, we're not in danger of that. Don't worry about it.
If you're what are you, 37? You've got time.
Got time.
But I think it's also fine for entrepreneurs to be like, I want to create X amount of money a year to design my life in a certain way, to give myself and my wife or my husband happiness and free time. Totally fine.
Yes.
And legendary if you can do that. Like, well done you.
But also, I say that about businesses. Businesses have a natural size. Now, that might be
Great point.
billions, that might be turning over billions a year, and it might be turning over £1 million a year.
Yep. Exactly.
And that's the joy of finding that size, because once you get beyond that, you start getting very, very resource heavy to try and find the next layer and the next layer and the next layer. Now maybe businesses kind of go through this, okay, we got the startup piece, and that is the natural size of the business. And there would be a bigger natural size, but there's a bit in the middle I need to get through. But sometimes you just need to stay there. If it's creating the life that you want to create, it's achieving the things that you want to achieve. The hardest thing is learning how to not grow.
Yeah.
And still stay relevant
And be happy.
and because we do seek new and different. You're
But
absolutely
I
right.
agree with you, as in you can be small and super successful, but to maintain your position and to maintain your success, you sometimes are forced to grow.
You are.
Yeah. And so
But we need to learn to use innovation
Yeah.
instead of cash growth.
Exactly,
It's just I need more. I need to do more. It's just we need to keep relevant. We need to innovate. We need to stay creative and active and energetic about that business. It's not like because too many businesses get to that size and they
And
think,
get
oh,
lazy.
That's actually the greatest tension I can imagine for an entrepreneur in general, which is growth, which feels the natural desire, and contentment. That's really hard. Contentment of like, we're fine as we are. And some of the greatest brands that we love are in that space of contentment. They are the size that they are. That's right for them. But wow, what a mindset shift that has to be for entrepreneurs to know that magical quest we're all on, which is to realize you have enough. That's very hard.
So I'm not sure that, and it's the only word we've got, but contentment is the right word, because I think there is a restlessness amongst entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So there is this kind of inbuilt little bit of discontent. You know, it doesn't matter what the words I say. There's always a bit, we could do that a bit better, couldn't we? Or we could do, and that's what we need to learn to do. What can we do a bit better, a bit fresher, a bit newer, a bit more, you know, how do we move this on without just relying on, well, next year we're going to be 10% bigger than we were the last year, because every business gets to that.
Yeah.
You know, you set your budgets after so many years. When you're growing, it's fine, but after so many years, it's just like, what are our budgets? Oh yeah, okay, we'll be 5% more like next year than that.
Yeah.
You know, once you get to that stage, guys, can we just look at this all again, please? Because if we're just going to do this whole next year's going to be 5% better, 10% better than last year, then we're getting boring.
I like your phrase of the like natural size of the business though, because I think you see it with restaurants, don't you? An amazing restaurant, local restaurant, perfect. You know, everyone's obsessed with it. It's the place to hang out. It's cool. And then they go and get PE funding, and then they roll it out to like 10 different spots, and suddenly the thing that wants the, you know, the special thing about it of its perfect size, it probably made good profit, disappears.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Actually, restaurants is a really good one. Yeah. Really good one.
So, Deborah, what is the one thing that you think that schools get wrong about teaching finance?
I'm going to have to answer with more than one. The first is they don't teach at all. So there's the first thing. If they did teach finance, to be fair, there's a lot of individual teachers trying to do financial teaching, but it's often in the later years. Now, we start forming our money habits as early as 6 or 7. It's not just schools. Parents and schools need to normalise talking about money, because we've got this weird, you don't talk about money in this country, you know. It'll worry the kids. Well, the kids are going to be worried about the atmosphere, you know, because they know something's going on over here and you're not telling them about it. And we need to present it in a much more positive way. Money is a fantastic enabler. It's a fantastic contribution to society via tax. We need to stop saying, you know, all they hear is their parents going, oh, got my tax bill. You know, this is a good thing, isn't it? You've earned good money. You're about to contribute to your society. You know, open up that door that says, why are you paying tax? You know, well, because, and therefore, if you're putting that money in there, let's pay a bit of attention to the government and make sure that they're spending it in the right place. You know, and if those conversations just get normalised and natural into somebody's being, in the same way that I think being an entrepreneur can be normalised when you're young, you know, your parents are talking about it. And then I think, you know, that's the biggest gift we could give to kids.
If you're there and you want your kids to be you know, financially literate, what are the things that you should be doing with them? So speaking in front of them, talking them through financial concepts, obviously buying your book. But what are the other things you can do to help?
I think money conversations in front of kids are really, really important. But you have got to kind of take the time to follow that up, because if they just hear the words and don't really understand what they mean, then that's adding absolutely nothing to their lives. I think one of the most often asked question to me is, how do we teach our kids the value of money? And that's really hard now that money's invisible. It used to be much easier. You put your hand in your pocket, that's how much money you got. When it's gone, that's it. You learn the value of money. Now it's invisible. So I think that is a really, really important one, to actually place value and explain to kids that money has no value whatsoever until you apply it. You give it its value in the way you spend it. And if you spend it on something that you care about, that has a much higher value to you than if you spend it on a frivolous nothing. And if you spend it on the frivolous nothing and then you want the car when you're 18 years old, look back and think, well, hopefully at this time look forward and think, don't spend it on that. Let's wait until I get the thing I really, really want. But parents have to be disciplined, because too many parents let them spend it on that and then say, oh, all right, I'll buy you the car. Yeah,
and a car is truly one of the worst purchases ever, because everyone finances it. It costs so much more over time, and then it loses its value immediately. It's like, you would just do better not getting one for the time being. But Deborah, obviously you've seen hundreds, thousands of pitches. What is the skill that separates the top 10% of entrepreneurs for you?
Presentation is really important, but I really don't like over-rehearsed pitches.
Right.
Because I feel like I'm getting a over-rehearsed pitch, and I'm not really seeing the business. I love it when you see the entrepreneur relax. or whoever outside of the den, whoever it is, you know, you get into the conversation and they relax and they just start talking about their business in a real instinctive, you ask me a question, I know this much about my business, I'm just going to answer you, and I'm not going to worry about the order of the words, you know, because I'm confident in this. And that confidence builds an awful lot of confidence in the investor.
Amazing. Deborah, we've run out of time. We've got many more questions,
Damn.
but you are a busy lady and you've given us a lot of time today. Thank you so much for it.
I have thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah, so
Thank
have I.
you.
That was awesome.
You
Thank
said you
very
thought
much.
you were going to enjoy it. What's the verdict?
I thoroughly enjoyed
Yeah,
that.
if this was an investment pitch,
Absolutely,
she's
I'm
in.
in.